Oh, brother!
Welcome, one and all, again to the Basement Brothers Podcast, episode number 12. We are
Yes.
just a rocking and rolling over here, my friend Mo Money. What's happening your way?
Listen, I'm just psyched. This is episode 12. We're getting up there, brother. We're getting up there.
Getting there. We're getting elderly here, and we're getting elderly in the real world.
Yes, indeed. How you been?
Not too bad. You know, we're cooking. We're throwing some gas on the fire now, and things are rolling. So, you know, it's always interesting to get another slew of topics for us to discuss while resting in our basement domain.
Speaking of which, let's dive right into hot topics.
Speaking of being elderly, in this day and age, it seems like it's really hard to get away from prescription medications. And not only prescription medications just by having to take them, but the amount of new prescription medications coming out on release constantly. And you see the TV commercials with celebrities and dancing cats and animated videos, and the names are also hilarious. You know, Biktarvy and names like Jardians we were talking about before. But it just seems to be that you know, you can't get very far on a television show without a commercial break with 2 to 3 of these pill commercials pretty much every episode.
Definitely. I'm looking at this photo and I'm catching flashbacks. It looks like my dad's nightstand, all these pills and bottles and stuff.
Yeah, nightly regimen. Just swallow
Yeah.
85 of these pills and go to bed.
Pills are my friend.
And they have a pill for everything now. I mean, there's a pill for growing thicker eyebrows. There's a pill for enhancing your breasts. There's a pill for, of course, all of the sleep types of problems, and you know, dietary pills and heart pills, and there's a pill for everything. And it seems like there's a lot new like diabetes pills too on the market with like weight loss, and the celebrities all jump on those ones. It seems like.
You know, I remember when this became a big thing when it initially started with these commercials for these pharmaceutical drugs, right? And it
Yeah.
would start out, you'd have a basic commercial, and at the end there'd be like all these horrible side effects, and like literally the person at that same time, the person in the video is like smiling and like flipping a burger on a grill or something. It's like the side effects are worse than whatever the hell you were taking the pill for, you know?
Yeah. It's like you're taking a pill for depression, but may cause enhanced depression and death.
Yeah, like it gives you suicidal thoughts. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like this is supposed to be something that's gonna help me with my depression, and you're telling me it's gonna make me want to kill myself? Like, what's the purpose?
Yes, of course, naturally. So you don't know which killed you. Is it prior to taking the drugs and you having the suicidal thoughts, or the drugs actually made you more suicidal? Yeah, and to that point, it's very funny because you see these drugs come out and everybody's just jumping all over them and they're handing them out like candy. Everybody's just riding the wave, and then all of a sudden, 6 months later, you see those slew of those dial attorney commercials with 1-800 class action suits on every one of these medications.
Well, I'm not one to really take lots of medication. I will only take it if it's absolutely necessary. But I tell you one thing, I do appreciate the commercials because there's this one commercial, and this is, I'm not affiliated with them, but I believe it's Jardians. And there's a lady and she's singing and she's dancing and it turns into a musical before it's said and done. And I love that damn commercial. I don't know what Jardians does. It could be the worst concoction on the planet, but I love that commercial. And every time I hear that commercial, it just catches my attention. So whoever came up with it was brilliant.
And Jardians, if you want to give us some money, we will take it.
Exactly.
Just so you know, we're throwing that out there. Yeah, the production values are incredible on these commercials, and in fact, they have a lot of celebrity actors. And some of them. What's crazy to me is the prevalence lately for it seems like there was a new diabetes drug that came out. I'm trying to remember the call. Maybe it was Biktarvy.
Yeah.
It was one of these that somebody was taking recently, a couple of celebrities, and it seems like all of them were taking it, right? And it's like, it's just crazy to me how, especially for loss of weight, stuff like that. It's like everybody just wants a pill to do something,
Oh.
regardless of the laundry list of side effects that it causes.
Yeah, there's one that the side effect is that you lose weight. I can't remember which one it was, but I started to grab a couple of bottles of it. But I'm afraid of what it might do to my kidneys or something or my
Yeah,
liver. So I don't
that's why you
want to
lose weight
bother.
because they got to cut your kidneys out later.
Yeah. Well, listen, you could always go old school and and go like Little Wayne. What was it? The scissor, where you would take like
Yeah, the scissor up the
yeah, was it like NyQuil or something?
he has a whole bunch of like cold medicines and purple
Yeah,
drank. I think it was purple
yeah.
drank at one point he
Purple
was having.
drink. Yeah, scissor. Scissor.
That's true.
Speaking of being medically assisted in our endeavors in life, this next segment of hot topics is very interesting. Um, Depression is a true problem in the world, not just here in the United States, but around the world, and different people deal with it in different ways. And apparently, this young lady has decided that her way out of it is to end it all.
Wow.
Hello, my name is Soraya and I'm 28 years old. I live in the Netherlands and recently my euthanasia request for my mental suffering got approved.
Zoraya Turabik is 28 and she expects to be euthanized in early May. She is one of a growing number of people across the West choosing to end their lives rather than live in pain, pain that in many cases can be treated. Zoraya once had ambitions to become a psychiatrist, but she was never able to muster the will to finish school or start a career. She says she was hobbled by her depression and autism and
Oh
borderline
God.
personality disorder. Now she was tired of living, despite, she said, being in love with her boyfriend, a 40-year-old IT programmer, and living in a nice house with their two cats. She recalled to me her psychiatrist telling her that they had tried everything, that, quote, there's nothing more we can do for you. It's never going to get any better. At that point, she said she decided to die. Quote, I was always very clear that if it doesn't get better, I can't do this anymore. In
Wow.
2022, the
Good
most recent
God.
year for which there is data, Dutch officials recorded 8,720 cases of euthanasia, a 13.7% increase from 2021, when there were
Wow.
That's insanity.
7,666
Yep.
cases. To put this in perspective, there were a total of 170,100 deaths in the Netherlands in 2022, meaning euthanasia cases comprised more than 5% of all deaths. Now, typically, when we think of people who are considering assisted suicide, we think of people facing terminal illness.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Exactly.
this new
Hmm.
group is suffering from other syndromes, depression or anxiety exacerbated, they say, by economic uncertainty, the climate,
Economic
social
uncertainty. We've always
behaviors,
had economic
and a
uncertainty.
seemingly limitless
Exactly.
array of
That's never going to
fears and
change.
disappointments. I spoke to a healthcare ethics professor who served for a decade on a euthanasia review board in the Netherlands from 2005 until 2014. He told me in those years he saw, quote, the Dutch euthanasia practice evolved from death being a last resort
To the
to death
default
being
option.
a default
Yeah.
option. He
Default option.
ultimately resigned. For my story for the Free Press,
This is
I
just
investigate
insane.
whether suicide, assisted dying, and euthanasia are a sign of human empowerment or a sign that we're in a dystopian world where core human values are disintegrating. You can
Mm.
read I am 28 and I'm scheduled to die in May at thefp.com.
Yeah, that's good.
Wow.
You know, I go back and forth with this one because ultimately we talk about wanting to be in a free society, wanting to be able to make decisions about our life. And typically the one decision about our life that is out of our hands is our death. We don't know when and where. In this case, we have people who are choosing to end their lives. And it's not because of, again, a terminal illness, but just being sick of life. And that's a new sort of normal. And I don't know what to think of it. How about you?
Yeah, I think this kind of points directly at what I would call first world type of problems. Like, I don't think civilization through, hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions of years of basic development of the animal kingdom into what we are now, really worried about their feelings versus survival. I think it's a luxury today where your feelings and your so-called mental health is more important than, let's say, general survival. Right? It's become fashionable now to make a claim that mental health is, let's say, worse than starving to death. Right?
Mhm.
Like, and I mean, and it's not to say that there aren't countries all over that are still starving to death. It's just, to me, somebody starving to death has a legitimate case of suffering. A person that just is suffering with depression, anxiety, for which they have a, we're talking about medications. There's so many medications on top of it to treat these type of conditions, right?
Mhm.
It just is crazy to me that, because if you're dealing, like, this person is in perfect health, right? Pretty much, like,
Yeah.
fairly good health, except
Yep.
for mental health.
Yep.
Now, imagine all the people that are in bad, terrible physical health, but still have all these mental health problems, and they're still fighting to get another day.
Yep.
You know?
It it's this one is confusing, and I don't want to minimize what she may be going through because some people, have really crippling mental illness. But I was
Yeah,
listening to certain things that the commentator said, that the narrator or whatnot, and she said that she wanted to be like a psychologist or psychiatrist, and she couldn't muster the will to complete school or to start a career. And it's like, school is a maybe. It's not for everyone, but like a career can start at McDonald's. I mean, you can start on the
yeah.
fry line and
Get
build
a
a
hammer
career.
and go outside and smash some rocks with it. Like,
Yeah,
she's in a position where she's so comfortable that she can sit around thinking about her mental illness. How about you go build bridges all day or highways all day for about 18 hours a day for the next 30 years?
yeah,
That's the problem. It's too luxurious now to be able to hide within mental health, in my estimation. It's just become this luxury now where it's like, well, I have these mental health issues. Newsflash: we all have mental health issues.
yes, yes.
Humans are mentally deranged.
You and I have spoken about this on many occasions. I believe that everyone's crazy. Like,
Yes,
to
yes.
someone in the world, I'm absolutely, probably a lot of people. I'm absolutely insane. Someone in the world thinks that you're insane. Like,
Yeah,
that's the way of the world. But I think I need more context because I want to know, like, what steps did she take? What did she do? Is it a case where she's just a person who was lazy and couldn't, muster the willpower because she's lazy, and then this is just a way out, or is this is a way for attention? Like, I don't fully understand it. I need a little bit more
well,
context.
crazy too is, just from this person digging into the story, was that the government seems to be complacent with just going, "Yep, we've done everything we can do. Time to act you."
Yeah, yeah,
it's, it's,
yeah,
the percentage is growing higher and higher every year of these assisted deaths due to, the same types of symptoms that probably 90% of people face every day:
yeah,
anxiety, borderline personality, autism spectrum. Everybody's on the autism spectrum now. I
yeah.
mean, that's just a new fashionable, phase of the week. It's like, oh, you're somewhere on the spectrum.
Well, the
It's like,
other The other thing that stood out to me, she said that the doctor told her that there wasn't anything else that they could do. It wasn't going to
yeah,
get any better. And I'm skeptical about that. Not saying that the doctor didn't tell her that, but I know sometimes if you're dealing with the person who, no matter, because I have friends who have issues, and no matter how you try to help them and you give them advice, no matter what solution you give them, they have a problem. They have another problem.
yeah.
So maybe she's one of those people where when she went to the doctor's legitimately trying to help her, and no matter what solution the doctor gives her, she finds another problem. And the doctor's like, you know what? There's nothing else that I can do for you. Not because there isn't anything else that can be done, but because there's nothing else I can do for you, because no matter what solution I give you, you're going to find another problem. And I'm
Yeah,
wondering if
exactly.
that's just the doctor just waving the white flag of saying, of surrender, saying, I can't do anything else for you because you're not going to really try to improve the situation.
I agree, because I think, even in terms of psychiatry, when you look at that, the psychiatrist isn't fixing you; they're helping you fix you.
Exactly.
You've got to put in the work. And of course, unfortunately for some of these people, it's too difficult to deal with their so-called mental health issues that in some cases, there's no medical test for these things. They're just making these claims they have these health mental health issues.
Hmm.
So it's even worse. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't buy it. I think a lot of people are using it as a crutch, and unfortunately, it's been a detriment to society.
Yeah, and I'm not a professional. I can't diagnose her, but just looking at her demeanor in the video, she doesn't sound like a depressed person. She seems to be in control of her mental faculties. She's pretty, she speaks with a lot of confidence. She's, has a lot of certainty. Um, she doesn't appear to be wandering. Her mind isn't wandering. She's very sharp. She's very coherent. She's very aware. So she doesn't come across as being a person who's just so out of sorts that she'd have to end her life. So again, I'm wondering if this is, partially for attention.
Yeah, it's fashionable to be this way these days. And I mean, for all we know, she could have had a grass ghillie suit and been hanging out in the woods waiting for her ex-boyfriend.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see though. In May, we'll see if this actually happens and if she goes through with it. Because let's say if it is an attention grab, even if it's an attention grab, I'm okay with that if she doesn't end her life because I think she probably does have a lot to live for. She's got like two cats and a
Oh
and
yeah,
a boyfriend and a nice
and
condo
a
or
40-year-old
something.
IT programmer. She's got it all.
Yeah. Yeah, she's doing pretty decently, otherwise. I'm hoping that she'll change her mind, but if she does change her mind, is it going to be like, I thought about it and there was so much outcry that, I decided not to and I'm going to give it another shot, or again, is this an attention grab? So, it's going to be interesting to see if
What
she
they
goes
need to
through with
do
it.
is have somebody come in there with one of those white rubber gloves and just smack her in the face repeatedly until she decides to go home and play with her cats.
And I'm wondering like what the boyfriend is going through. Like he must feel like helpless because like imagine you're with someone and you're thinking you're building a great life with each other. You got a pretty good career. Clearly, if she's not working and she's got a place, the guy's taking care of her. So he's feeling like I'm giving her everything she needs, and she still wants to check out on me. Like imagine,
Yeah,
you know?
I don't I guess stay in the basement. That's where it's safe.
Ay, ay, ay. Well, I guess it's time, much like the young lady in the Netherlands, it's time to move on.
Indeed. Well, to kind of carry on with that parlance of derangement and people calling attention to themselves. All the prank videos these days that everybody has online, and this is just one series of these prank videos that are a little less than pranks, if you ask me.
Mhm.
Hey,
Look
how
at
you
the
doing,
trunk on
beautiful?
that tree.
I can't even get your name. You look very beautiful.
Now, this woman just happens to be walking down the
You
street
got
in this
you
out.
got Instagram?
No, I
Looks
don't.
like Florida.
Did you call the cops on you?
Call the cops. Oh,
Don't play with me.
I'm sorry to bother you. Have a nice day. What the chick's rude as out here, man. All I said was hi.
Yeah.
How you gonna call the police on somebody just by saying hi? What's your name? Where's my car keys at? Oh, this chick coming back, bro? What the? Oh,
Of
she
course, she
came back.
sees the Lambo, and then
It's
she's got to come
it's
back.
been a change of heart.
Yo, what's up?
I didn't know you was in this Lambo though.
You the one that said that you gonna call the cops on me?
I mean, but I didn't know you were in this Lambo though.
You didn't call the cops on me, did you?
No,
Oh, why you so rude? Like, what's going on? You have a bad day or something?
because I didn't know you were in this Lambo though.
I mean, you
You
would
was riding in there.
He could literally be
you
a
would have
serial
knew it.
killer.
So he probably is the Burger King killer.
The burglar, the hamburger. No, the hamburger is McDonald's. My bad.
Grimace is back with a few days to kill.
Yeah, come on,
But
get out
I
of
mean,
here.
obviously, super hot, sexy chick, muscle chick. She lifts weights, and later she was talking about this thing. She's a bodybuilder. There's no way there's any I mean, do I believe there's gold diggers? Do I believe most of these women like this out of here are gold diggers? 100%. No, 1,000%.
Yeah.
These videos are not real. Nothing about them is real. This person has been planted here and paid to walk down the street and pretend to be an actress for this video, but it's just a prevalence of all these prank videos like this online today that are all legitimately just phony.
Yeah, and they're so well mic'd. Whoever's filming this is obviously from a distance, but everybody's so well mic'd. The guys in the
Yeah.
car, you can hear them perfectly clear. The lady, even when she's at a distance, you can hear her perfectly clearly. Like,
Yep.
it's all staged. Now, like you said, there are plenty of women who are like this, but this is
Yeah.
clearly staged. Get out of here.
It is, and it's like, and it's kind of become the nature of social media, where it's like, you get a sexy chick, you put her in a thin outfit, and it draws hits, it draws attention, and it just continues to work. But I got to think the time for this kind of stuff is going to run out at some point. Uh, People are got to get wise to it at some point, and just be like, why am I spending all day watching these videos? But sex sells. It works for now. It's just I see these kind of videos all day long, and I don't know. They just kind of start to irritate me.
Yeah, I used to watch them some time ago, but they don't interest me now because, like you said, some of them are just so over the top and phony. Like literally, they got the guy in a Burger King uniform.
Yeah,
Like I've seen
Burger
guys
King
like in
hat.
regular clothes. Like literally, it's like the guy looks like he's working at Burger King, and then now he's in a Lambo. It's like, get out of here.
And then he claims that he owns like Burger Kings a lot, in the
Ugh,
story. And then it's so scripted that it's like all this is eye candy for clicks. And they set a fake story and a fake scripted gold digger prank, supposedly, that isolates their whole idea of what they're trying to show, that all these gold diggers are just wandering around in these kind of outfits, well mic'd up in the middle of a well lit neighborhood.
and like she had already passed him in the car by. So
Yeah,
that means that she would have had to turn back around to see that he was getting in a Lambo. A
yeah.
hot chick like that is not turning back around looking at this dusty dude in a Burger King outfit. She's trying to keep going as fast as she can in the opposite direction. Get out of here.
Exactly. She threatens to call the police, and then 10 seconds later comes back to get in the guy's Lambo. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
And it's like these guys can go out and rent a Lamborghini, right? What's crazy to me is people think this is all real. Oh, these guys are billionaires, and no, they're not. They went and rented a car. They went down and rented a camera guy and rented some camera equipment and some microphones,
yep,
and I paid an actress to shoot a video.
yep. And
You know?
look at the outfit she's got on. Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah, no,
totally.
no,
How you mean? And I'm not going to say women don't wear this kind of stuff because they do sometimes, but these are just so over the top.
yeah, yeah. It's not believable.
No, not at
So.
all.
Yeah, times are changing and certain things stay the same. But speaking of times changing, this next segment here, you all know by now that we're huge wrestling fans. So if you have any idea about wrestling, modern wrestling, you should be pretty familiar with the WWE and the whole Bloodline saga. And we got some new happenings.
So that means consequences need change.
I love Paul Heyman. He just looks more and more like Paul Bearer as the years go by.
He does. He really does. And to give you some context, Roman Reigns, who had been a WWE champion for like 1317, 18 days,
Which
he
is crazy
recently,
too.
yeah, he recently lost his title to Cody Rhodes, and he was the tribal chief, the leader of the bloodline. And the folks that you see here now are members of the bloodline. So everyone was wondering who was going to fill the void as Roman Reigns takes his extended vacation, and it appears that that question is being answered right now.
Oh no, who the hell?
Oh yes, the ubiquitous run-in character.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Wow. Oh my God. Wait, you know who that is?
So this dude here is
That's the son of
vicious.
Haku,
So
who has been
to
wrecking
give you
shop
even
in
more
Japan for
context,
years.
the guy
Well,
that's
now he's
getting
wrecking
pounded
Jimmy
is
Uso.
Jimmy Uso, and the guy now with the big thumb is his younger brother Solo Sikoa. So
Yeah.
Solo Sikoa is basically cementing himself in a position as tribal chief, and he brings in this enforcer who happens to be Haku's son. And I know you know who
Oh yeah, yeah.
Haku is.
King
You know,
Ming. Oh yeah.
yeah, Ming. So this is apparently the new bloodline. This is what we call a hostile takeover. What do you think, JD?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They need to do something with the storyline. Obviously, they need to take some attention from. I haven't really been following up as much with WWE product, the last couple of years. But I, obviously know Roman Reigns, and I know that I remember when the Shield first came out.
Mhm.
When the Shield came in, and that was the first debut of Roman Reigns basically in WWE.
Mhm.
They need to do something different, with it. Obviously, they need to inject some new blood in there. I mean, Roman's starting to become one of the old, tired kind of cast members now.
Mhm.
He's kind of reaching that John Cena peak where after a while, after about 7-8 years of John Cena being in there, they had to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because at the same time, you had Cody Rhodes, who, he sells tickets. He's very personable, and he had a compelling story as well. So they had to find a way to shift the storyline. Now, the interesting thing is with Roman is that when he initially came in, the idea was to make him a baby face, and these days it's very hard to make a baby face. Everybody loves a villain now, so it's
Yeah,
easier
the
to
villains have
be a
become the
heel.
baby faces. Yeah, the heels are
Mhm.
basically baby faces now.
Yep, and no matter what they did, they couldn't get his gimmick to stick as a baby face. It wasn't until he turned heel that he really started to get traction. So there are whispers and rumors that this new faction of the bloodline is probably more, vicious and bloodthirsty. They're going to try to take the bloodline in one direction, and when Roman comes back, he's basically going to be the savior, bringing things back into alignment, and
Sure,
possibly coming back as a baby face.
they'll come
So
full circle.
yeah, come full circle. So it'll be interesting, And you also have Jay Uso, who is Jimmy Uso's twin brother. The
Yeah,
two of them fought in at WrestleMania. They're feuding right now. So this may be a way to bring the two of them together. Maybe Jay Uso is going to come and rescue Jimmy. So there are a lot of different twists and turns that can come of this. So it's going to be interesting to watch.
yeah, most definitely. It's all entertainment, and I tell you what, they're knocking it out.
Yep. Well, basically, it's becoming a free for all. And speaking of which, our next segment is free for all.
Speaking of staged entertainment, one of my absolute favorite of all time pseudo stuntmen, Super Dave Osborne, who
Dave.
sadly passed away a few years ago, but one of the best of all time. You had him, and you had good old Fuji Hakahito here,
Yep.
his classic sidekick on every show. But
Fuge.
this one was where Super Dave had a computer car. Let's just watch a few minutes of this one.
And you pull into a pit crew, the unknown is there. They say, let's look at the tires. Let's see if you need oil.
Smoked
Let's see
out
what's
old
all
voice.
running around. And that takes all the time.
We'll have to put it on a sign too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fuji has come up with an ingenious
Of course.
way. It's called the Fuji, if you'd explain it.
Fuji.
Super Dave will
Super
go
Dave.
around truck with computers in car.
Computers in the
Fuji's
car.
designed a computer where if I need oil,
Like what was Fuji's credentials?
yes, a
Like
red
what?
light goes on.
I
If I need,
don't really remember.
Was
tire-
he
He just basically
like an
became like,
engineer or something?
yeah, something like that. He became like the guy that worked for Super Dave. So now, there's these computers in this race car, and Super Dave's going to take it out of the track, and he's going to do these stunts. But yeah, Fuji's the coordinator, whatever his position is for. He's always the coordinator of these stunts. But for anyway, Super Dave gets us down the track, and he's rolling.
Oh, look at that. I have no oil. The computer's working. Did you bring it or what?
Yeah, Fuji really brought it. Oh,
I have
Uh-oh.
no gas. No oil.
I
No
don't
gas.
All of his lights are popping up now.
Let's see what else he's got. Oh,
Oh, I have no tires either. No oil, no gas, no tires.
that computer's
That's
working well.
about it. Oh, no brakes.
Notice the pitch
Brakes are
of each
important.
ding is like getting higher. Oh!
Oh, the old brakes didn't quite help Super Dave there. And then basically they run up, and Super Dave's in the car.
Super Dave. What is it?
Super Dave, are you all
What
right?
is it?
Perfect putts.
Congratulations.
Putts, don't congratulate
A great pit stop.
Just take my seatbelt off and pour me in a glass. I'm like a human specimen. I could use the paramedics. All right, before you wrap up, get me help.
A world record.
My tongue is the color of your coat. I'm dying.
So a classic character, just a great idea that he came up with doing this superhero thing that nobody really ever did. And then the way he did it, it was always the same. The show built up to, Fuji developing this incredible stunt. The stunt always goes awry. Super David ends up mangled and in some terrible position, but he's always just, cynical as hell at the end.
Now,
Not
now
just love.
refresh my memory. Now, Super Dave, did he do stunts on a motorcycle too, or was that just Evil Knievel?
Yeah, he did any kind of stunt. Like there was stunts where I mean, it was just he would jump off stuff. He was doing motorcycles. He was driving cars. He was any type of bizarre stunt. They basically planned for the show. So it always went bad.
Yeah, I never heard anything bad about Super Dave. He was, you know, I don't know if you could call it a talent, but I mean, he was a fixture in like pop culture for a long time. As the years went on, you heard less and less from and about him. But like, I remember being a kid and like I'd always see some video of Super Dave doing something insane and foods and just he was a fixture, man. He was a
Yep.
fixture.
Yep, just original comedian, just an original take on comedy, and obviously, we won't see stuff like that really anymore. It happened in its time, and that's where it'll stay.
A truly physical comedian, like it's physical comedy to
Completely.
the extreme.
Yep.
So yeah, we're gonna miss him. Um, Moving on to the next portion of our segment. Unfortunately, this is going to be something a bit darker than what we see with Super Dave. You know, the prevalence of scams and pranks and things of that such have really taken hold of society, and in this case, it had really, really bad consequences for more than one person.
Here behind me is where a scam call turned deadly, and I'm going to step out of the way here so you can get a look here. The man who lives here is accused of shooting and killing an Uber driver. He now
Jeez.
faces a murder charge and potential other charges.
Uh,
According to reports, authorities say William Brock had been receiving multiple threatening scam calls the morning of March 25th. The calls were concerning an incarcerated relative, and Brock was told to meet at the courthouse to pay a ransom of $12,000 in bail money, or they would kill him and his
Jesus.
relative.
hmm.
Around the same time of the call, Lolitha Hall received directions from the same person or an accomplice, instructing her to go to Brock's home to pick up a package for delivery. Dashcam video from Hall's car shows her arrive to Brock's home to pick up that package.
She can barely
According to reports
walk,
from the Clark County
let
Sheriff's
alone
Office,
assault someone.
Brock allegedly had a
Yeah.
gun. This video appears to confirm that. The incident report says Brock allegedly took Hall's phone and wouldn't let her leave, and when she tried to go, authorities say Brock then shot Hall. They started fighting, and he shot her 2 more times. Authorities received a call from Brock saying he had shot someone on his property because they were trying to rob him. When units arrived, they found Hall with multiple gunshot wounds, and Brock was bleeding from his head. Hall was flown to Kettering Hospital in Dayton, where she died. Reports say while officials were on scene, Brock's landline phone kept ringing, and when one officer picked it up, the man on the other line said he was an officer. And the real officer explained what happened and asked the caller to meet. And he agreed, but never showed up. We reached out
Probably
to
the
Uber, and
scammer.
they responded with this statement saying, in part, quote, "There is no other way to describe this incident than a horrific tragedy. Our hearts continue to be with Lolitha's loved ones as they grieve her sudden loss. We have been in contact with law enforcement and remain committed to supporting their investigation." End quote. Uber also went on to say the account of the individual who ordered the Uber trip has been banned. The sheriff's office is
Wow.
also reminding residents to be extra cautious and that no law enforcement agency or court will call you and demand for bail money over the phone. That goes for any other court functions as well. Reporting in Springfield, Grace Hewitt, 2 News.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. This one is heartbreaking. When I look at that lady, she actually literally reminds me of my grandmother. Like my grandmother, as they get older, um, they don't walk so well. They don't move quite as smoothly. And
Yeah.
she could have easily have been my grandmother, God rest her dead, who is deceased. But I see her, and she probably just trying to make ends meet. She's an Uber
Yeah.
driver.
Yeah.
She's going to go pick up this package, and then next thing you know, the guy's got a gun. He's trying, he's threatening her and trying to basically hold her. And he's probably thinking, I'm going to, turn her into the cops or whatever. It's just tragic all around, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy because it's like, I mean, obviously this whole thing is bad to begin with, just with the fake calls and the scams and all the stuff happening. But the fact that this guy's got a gun uh, on this woman too, it's like, I don't. It's like it's just bizarre. And then like there's cameras too,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, there's a dash cam there, and it looks like the guy's looking right into the camera, so he's aware that there's a camera there. And in his mind, he's thinking, you got all these stand your ground laws. He's thinking he's standing his ground. He's a victim, but only up to a certain extent because as you can
yeah,
see,
she
she's
doesn't
no
have a
threat.
weapon. Yeah, she
She
has no
has no
weapons. That's
weapon.
that's what I couldn't
She's
catch her.
literally trying to get away from him.
Yeah, I
He's
couldn't understand the aggression from him in this, or where he's trying to be he's going to be robbed or something like that. Like she's not attempting to rob him at this point.
Yep,
Like that's
yep.
just bizarre. I mean, that's yeah, like you said, he's a victim too, but at the same point, I mean, obviously I don't know if he had some cognitive issues or something, but
Yep. That's actually what I was thinking too. And not to make an excuse for him, but he's older. You don't know what he could be going through. He could have dementia for all we know.
yeah,
But the,
yeah,
the bottom line is someone decided that they wanted to try to take advantage of this guy. And they looped this poor woman in who's probably got children and grandchildren, and now she's dead. This
it's
guy, if they gave him 2 years, that's probably a life
that's
sentence
a
for
life sentence.
him.
Yeah, yeah, his
You
life is
know,
ruined too. I mean, it's just a bad for it. Just completely terrible.
yeah, nobody wins in this situation. Everyone loses, and whoever the person is that did this, that set this whole thing up, I hope they rot in hell because
Yeah,
it's
me too.
really, really hurt my heart to see
all
this.
of these all of these types of things, the swatting and the bullshit these people do on people, I just those people are just scum, absolute scum.
Yep, yep. So, like I said, I didn't want to end it on a bad note, but I wanted to make sure that I shared this story because some people look at pranks and they look at scams and they say, oh, there's no one's going to get hurt. Somebody might be out of a little bit of money, but no one's going to die from it.
Yeah, it's a
Well, guess
victimless
what?
crime, right?
Yeah, well, guess what? Someone did.
Yeah, and somebody should be calling this stuff out, right? It's like, and that's the beautiful part about this show is, I mean, we obviously have a lot of comedy and all this stuff, but we talk about everything. That's what's great. Like, this is a real thing that's happening, and people should actually be, standing up to these things and talking about how bad they are, and maybe they can get kind of a paradigm shift for, kind of stopping these things from happening.
Yeah, and one thing I would say, if you feel like someone is trying to take advantage of you, someone's scamming you, someone's calling you, harassing you, alert the authorities, let the
Yeah.
police get involved, and try not to become this vigilante because in this case he literally killed an innocent woman, you
Well,
know.
even people, they say if you get pulled over and you're not sure if it's a police, call 911. I mean, call
Yep.
the authorities and verify if it is a police officer. Call and verify these things. I mean, this guy could have obviously pulled a gun on this lady and just probably held the gun on her without even he's got the gun cocked.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like there's so many ways this thing could have played out way better than it did, and unfortunately, it's the decisions that guy made in the moment which are bad. But it's like, yeah, like call the authorities, take a moment to think about it. Don't road rage instantly when you see something. Step back from it and think about it for a second.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much it for this episode.
There's a
But
good one. We'll
yeah,
take it. I mean, there's good and the bad, and that's the beautiful part about everything. There's always a little bit of something for everybody here, and yeah, like we're glad to dig into all of it. We're not scared of any of these topics.
yeah, life is about balance, and we just hope that our show provides some societal balance. So you get to see, like you say, the comedy, the drama, and then sometimes even things like this that can be tragic because that's the real world. That's balance.
You got it, man. Well, that'll do it for episode 12. We will be back for episode 13, and until then, keep an eye out for us and watch for the next releases.
Yes, indeed. See you on the flip side.